Options, by the way, are price increases, pendings, which you know is under contract, sold listings, expired listings, and inactives. Okay, but we're just going to search for new, back on market, and price reductions. Now, if I'm only interested in Middlesex County, I would put in Middlesex County here. If I was only interested in a particular city or area, I would type that in here, and so on and so forth. So you can narrow this down to your little farming area. Okay? Now, if we simply run that, let's see what we get. So we run a little hot sheet. It's going to give us all the activity. We're looking a day back.
New results.
Yeah, and we've got 46, is it? Yeah, 46 listings. Okay. Are we going to look at? Yeah, there we go. When you're looking at hot sheets, it will order your listings by activity. So it's kind of hard for you to see from back there, but it tells me I've got 30 new listings, and if I scroll down, it's going to show me how many back on markets I have and how many price reductions. Okay, so it's just grouping them by activity. If this is a search I run all the time, I'm going to save it, because this is something I run all the time. So I'm going to save it, and I'll click on the save button. And you've seen this already because we saved a search before, but now we're saving a hot sheet. Give it a name. There's one more option you have with hot sheets, which is really kind of neat, because this is based on activity and it's probably something you want to run all the time. You can also schedule it to email you the results. So once you set this up, if you want the system to notify you by email of all new activity every single day, you can do so. So you go to the schedule email, and you can do this daily or weekly. Let's click on weekly for a minute. Weekly will allow you to pick days of the week that you want to be notified, okay? We're going to do daily. And we're just going to run this once a day. We'd like to get this once a day. And it starts today, but I can start whenever. And I can tell the system what time of day I want to receive that. So if I want to get that email 9 o'clock every morning, I'll change that to 9 o'clock. We put a start and an end date on it, and by default it starts today and ends a year from now, but you can put any date you want. Any time in our system where you have a date range like that, when it's getting close to running out, the time is coming up, you will get a warning that will say, hey, by the way, your saved hot sheet's about to expire, and you can go back in and adjust it. The subject line is defaulted to latest listing activity, but this can be customized. You might want to set up hot sheets for various different areas. So you might want to say changes for Middlesex or changes for whatever, so that when you get your email, you know what you're looking at. So you get to customize that. And then you can put in recipients. You don't have to put in recipients. By default, it's going to send it to you only. But if you also wanted this to go out to your client, you could. You just type in their email address or select it from your list of contacts. There's 3 different types of searches you can schedule like this. The hot sheet search, the open house search. Now the open house search is a nice one because you might want to schedule that to go to your client once a week for the next 3 weeks or whatever, so that they can see open houses that match. You can also schedule a broker tour search. That can only be sent to you because it's not appropriate for clients. But again, you can set that up and it will send it to you once a week or however often you set it up. Okay, then we'll hit save, and we have now saved our hot sheet, and not only have we saved it, but we've scheduled it. So if we go back to the home page, you will see that now shows in our saved hot sheets module. And anytime you see a calendar icon in green, it means you've automatically set that up to email you, and if you hover over it, it'll tell you how often it's going to email you. If it's not in green, it just means you've saved that hot sheet, but it's not automatically emailing you. You didn't set that part up. All right, now we've talked about defaults and preferences. Let's show you how to do that. So under the admin menu, the very first item is your preferences. So hopefully some of this will start to make sense now that you've seen what the system can do. Basically, this is a personal settings that you can set to your preferences. So let's just click on the searches defaults. There we go. So you can tell the system what grid you prefer to see every time you run a search, and it'll default to that going forward. You can also, I'm not going to cover everything, you can change whatever your default sort is. You can set up what kind of property types you normally search on, and they'll already be pre-checked when you open up your searches, so you can put in preferences there. We have preferences for various areas of the system. Emailing is one of them. Here's where you would go to type in your standard message that you send when you do an email, and you can put in your preferred format, etc. We even have defaults for Hotsheets. So under the Hotsheets, you can tell the system, you know, when I run Hotsheets, I don't want date range, I want number of days back. So I can change it so that it's automatically set up for me. And I can put in a preferred number of days back. I can tell the system, you know, I'm always searching for price reductions, new and back on market, and it will just preset them for you. Okay, if you make changes here, you want to save them, make sure you hit the save button at the top. Alright, I'm going to cover one more search and then we'll take a break. One of the most, I guess, advanced searches we have is the map search, the interactive map search. So we're going to cover that. So under the searches menu, you go down to interactive map. When you come into this for the first time, you'll probably see that you're zoomed quite far back. You can move this map to however way you need to see it. You could use this plus and minus sign down here to zoom in and zoom out. You can also use your mouse wheel, and you can use your mouse to pan around. So if you're going to be using the map search on a fairly regular basis, you'll probably want to zoom the map to the area you would normally search in. And then what you can do, under the More option here, you can set the default map. And that just means that once that's set, the next time you open up the map search, it'll land you right here. So you don't have to go hunting and pecking. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Well, anytime you see a pin, it's obviously a listing. And sometimes you'll see this little grey circle with a different number in it. Basically, there's one there with the number 3. What it's telling me is there's actually 3 listings there, but because of where we are at the map, it can't show all 3 pins. If you click on it, it'll zoom you right into those pins. Okay? Alright, we'll zoom back out again. There we go. Now, you can view these maps in a satellite view, if you like, by clicking the satellite option down at the bottom there. So if that's your preference, you can change it to satellite. Alright, now, you want to put in search criteria? You click on... Now, by the way, before you go there, if you're wondering why these pins are showing up, in my search preferences, I told the system to always check residential. So when I come into the map, it knows that, so it's automatically plotting pins for residential. That's why they came up. That was just my default. Now, I want to change my search criteria. If I click the search criteria, this search panel comes up. And all of the fields that you can possibly search on are here. Now, they may not all be viewable, but you can search on any field in the system from here. So I'm defaulting to residential. Now before we get in, I would like to click on statuses. So you can see that I'm actually defaulting to active, active coming soon, and active, whatever that means. Yeah. Now I want her to, can you check on under contract? And notice all these yellow ones come up. So the pins are color coded to the status. So at a glance, you can tell whether a listing is active or sold or under contract. Okay. Click there. Let's look for some bedrooms. Let's do 4 bedrooms. And again, as you can see, as Mackenzie is typing in search criteria, the pins are on the fly, you know, finding the listings that match. Now, if you look here, it says. It knows we're searching for residential only, and if I scroll down, I can see all of these fields that I can search on, but I notice that basement type isn't in there, because you can customize this. Before we do that, I just want to point something out. If you do cross-property type searching here, so let's do residential and residential rental, it will change the top section to show you fields that are common to both property types. But as you scroll down, It will now show you fields that are unique to each property type. From this particular search, you can do true cross-property type searches because you can search to the amenity level for multiple property types here. Now, we're missing a field. Basement type is not here because I need to add it. So if you go to fields, this is where you can decide what search fields you want on the interactive map search. Again, available fields and selected fields. So the selected fields is what we saw, but I want to add basement type. So I'm going to find that field and then hit add. And now if I go to selected fields, you'll see there it is on the bottom, and you can move it up or down. Once you've done this one time, you'll never have to go back in here and do it again, but I just want you to know you can make that panel however way you want it, whatever suits you. And then hit save. So now basement type will be part of our search criteria. And there it is, and we'll search for fully finished. And you get the idea. So you can do this. Lots of videos on this, I'll point out later. Okay, let's do a brand new search. Let's start from scratch. Okay, so we're going from searches. And notice that when she selected it, it went to our default because that's what we said. There's different types of searches you can do, and I want to point out the location box up here. So you can center the map on an address, for example. So we'll type in an address. This is using Google Maps. So as you type in an address, you can put in 10 Heritage Lane. That should get us into the middle. Now this is one way of looking for a listing, so we can type in 10 Heritage Lane, but it doesn't have to be a listing. You can center the map on any address. What the system does, because it's Google, is it's finding all of the incidents of 10 Heritage Lane, and we want the one in Scotch Plains, so we're going to click on that. And now what it's done is it's zoomed us right into that location. It's put a little marker here for us. We're just going to remove the marker, because it happens to be, we knew there was a listing behind it, there's a pin there. Okay, so that's how you can use the location to jump to something. Now if you click on a pin, this is how you can see information about that property. So at the top here we have the price, the beds, baths, etc. And then below that we've got some action buttons, one of them being Google Street View. And you should be familiar with this. This is how you quickly see the street view. Okay. And let's go back. What else can we do here?
Can this be done to a satellite view?
Yes, it can. We can switch to satellite view. Absolutely, we can. There you go. Okay. Yeah, we'll show you it again later on. But yeah, you can do that at any time. You can leave it on satellite view if you want. It's up to you. Okay.
Is this listing in?
This particular one is, and I know that because there's a pin there. This listing is in the system.
It's in Middlesex. Oh, interesting, because it's Union County.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know if we're in Middlesex. We're not. We're in Scotch Plains.
Oh, no,
Yeah.
no, I mean,
Scotch
it's in the
Plains is
Middlesex, it's
Oh.
in Central Jersey is what I'm trying to say.
Ah.
Central Jersey's big. It goes all the way up, or down to Cape May and all the way up to New York.
But I mean, people in Scotch Plains don't typically use this.
Oh, well, we probably picked a bad one as an example, but this is a real listing in your system that somebody's
It is.
posted. Yes, absolutely.
Okay, that's what I meant.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
You
Yeah.
put in different MLSs, like
Yeah.
I put in 3 different ones.
Right.
I'm surprised.
Okay, I'm surprised that hasn't come up before because we use it as example. No, this is a legitimate listing that's in the
Typically
system.
it's
Yeah.
in gardens.
We just happened to pick that as our example.
And maybe in
Garden
Garden
State
State too.
also.
Yeah.
It's in both.
It's probably in both. Okay, you can also get directions from here. You can add this to one of those carts if you wanted to by clicking here. You can add it to a route. We'll do that in a moment. Share, in this case, means email. And then below we have the neighborhood report. You already saw how to do that, but that's how you can run it from the map if you wish. There's also an option to do a search within a radius of this pin, but before we get there, let me show you how to look at the listing detail when you're looking at a pin. So if you click on the picture, it will open up the listing detail panel on the right-hand side. And there it is. If I clicked on the picture, it would open up the big picture gallery. And you can just go through. It looks a bit different, but it's all the same information. Now, we're pointing this out because at the end of the lesson today, we're going to show you how to use our app This is our app. Our app is exactly how this works. So once you've learned how to use the interactive map search, you'll know how to use our app. And when you're pulling this up on a phone, then this is how you would look at the listing detail. And when you see things like the phone number, if I was on the app, I would just click that if I wanted to phone that listing agent. Okay, we'll cover that a little later on, but I just want to point that out. When you're looking at a listing, if there are attachments to that listing, they will display here. So for example, I can tell this property has multimedia, it has attached documents, there's a tax record, etc.
Excuse me. I noticed on these, is there any buyers or sellers statistics as far as pulling up any closing costs or anything?
There's a way of putting in, you can create a buyer's closing costs or seller's net sheet if you want.
Is there a way of getting it for each listing?
No.
Like they used to have?
I don't know what that is. Was that a third party that you guys offered? I'm not sure.
Yeah,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't know.
Some of the other MLSs, companies has where you can actually pull up closing costs for each.
Amortization.
Why don't do it in the contract?
I don't want to stop her. Talk to me. No, later on though. Catch me, and we'll talk about it. I think I know what you're talking about. So just yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's do a different kind of search. Okay. So let's say we're here. This is great, and let's draw a radius around this search. I want to show you how you can draw on the map. So this is one way you can pinpoint an address on the map and say draw around it. It doesn't have to be an MLS listing. It could be any address. And you can see what it's done now. It's isolated the pins that fall within that radius. All the other pins have gone away. Okay. You know, if I wanted to and I wanted to drill down, I could open up the search criteria panel and, you know, say, well, okay, just show me 4-bedroom listings. Let's just click on 4 bedrooms. Okay, and then close. And then you can see it's narrowed it down. So let's close that. So that's how you do a radius search. So this is looking good, and I know my client is probably going to be interested in these listings. However, she's not going to want to live anywhere near this big main road. So what I want to do is I want to get rid of those particular listings. I'm going to do that by drawing a shape around them. So to draw a shape, you can click on the draw map option, and there's 4 types of shapes you can draw. You can draw a radius, a free form, a rectangle, or a point-to-point polygon. For this example, we're just going to do free form. So now Mackenzie is just going to free form draw around that road. Now the pins are still there because we haven't said to exclude them yet. So now we will click on the edit button beside the draw. We'll go down to the free draw shape and hit exclude. And you see that it turned it to red and all the pins are gone. Now when you're drawing shapes, anytime you see these little white, they're called anchor points. You can modify them. So let's say I don't want that pin either. So I'm going to draw that and it'll get rid of it. Okay, so you can modify shapes as you go along. You'll probably never need to do this, but can you click on the circle? I just wanted to show, when you're looking at shapes, there's always an anchor point. So in the case of a circle, you could expand or contract and it tells you the mileage. You'll always see a center point on every shape. It's always a solid box. And if you grab that, you can move the entire shape. So you can have fun playing with this. So once you've got that's great, we've got everything we want. Let's close this. So we've got the listings we want, but I want to get rid of the shapes because they're kind of in the way. So if you go to the show hide options, we can hide the shapes. So it's still just narrowed it down to those listings, but we got rid of the shapes. They're still there, you just don't see them anymore. Okay? Now, what we can do, if we want to work with all of these listings, you can also, if you wanted to view them in a list rather than on the map, you can click displays, and this will just bring up all those displays, those grids that we looked at before, so you can switch back and forth, okay? Also, by the way, this is a perfect example of being able to save a search with a different display, because this is a great way of narrowing down what my client's looking for. But moving forward, as new listings come in, I don't really want to see them on the map, I want to see them on a list. So if I save this search right here, I can say save my map search but present the results in a grid. So you have that option, okay? It's just optional, but there's an example of what you might want to do.